Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. This is going to be a little different from my usual, where instead of doing my makeup and telling you a story time, I'll be talking you through the process of having an eye test done. Now you might be thinking this is a bit of a random thing for me to be doing today. However, I recently went for my first eye test ever and I did not know what to expect. So I figured I would film the experience for you and then put it into a video like this so that if you have never had an eye test and you know how to go for one, you can prepare yourself for what's coming your way. So let's start with why I wanted an eye test done. Apparently you're supposed to have an eye test done every 1.5 to 2 years just to make sure everything is in order, which I'm not gonna lie, that was news to me. But the reason I decided to go for one is because I could feel my vision was declining. And like usually I could look at anything I want to and it would be in focus and I could see pretty far away and all that jazz. But for the last few months or so, it feels like when I look up from my computer or my phone or something, the other side of the room is blurry and it takes me like a few seconds to kind of get everything back into focus. And I swear things in the distance that I used to be able to see, I can't see that well anymore unless I'm like focusing on it. And I was like, I'm going blind, that's what's happening, I'm going blind, this is terrible. I really used to pride myself on the fact that I had perfect vision, so it was kind of freaking me out that it felt like I didn't have it anymore. So I was like, you know what, I want to have an eye test, I want to know what's going on. Now there's many places you can go for an eye test. Any place that sells prescription glasses should be able to do it for you. But I decided to go to Optica because that's the place my mom uses, so she could recommend it to me. I'm not gonna lie, I think this makeup looks like really cute. I wasn't expecting it to turn out so nice and now I feel all pretty. Anyways, onto the eye test. I do want to mention that there are 2 eye tests that you can have. You can have the full diagnostic eye test, which is the one I had, where they check your eyes out and make sure everything's fine. Or you can do the driver's license test one, which just tells you if your vision is fit for you to drive or not. That one is not comprehensive and doesn't really give you a prescription or anything. So even though it's more expensive, I decided to go for the diagnostic one because that suited my needs. I ended up paying around 400 Rand for it, which translates to about $26, and they could take me immediately. I didn't have to make an appointment or anything. I just had to fill in all my details so I could start a file with them, and then they took me right through to the back so I can start my eye test. Now, because I'm a BSc student, I wanted to know what all the tests were about and how they worked and what they told you. So I did all that research for you, and I'm going to tell you what tests they're going to do on you, how they work, and what they tell you. The first machine she took me to was called an Autorefractor. And I'm sure you're familiar with this one. They had us do this in school, and like primary school, they tested our vision with it as well. This is a little thing for you to put your chin on and a little thing for your forehead to go against to make sure your head is in the right place. And then you're going to look into the machine at a little picture. Usually it's either a picture of a little house like down a long driveway, or it's a hot air balloon far in the distance. Now this picture you're looking at is going to go in and out of focus while they're testing you. And the idea is that you try and focus at the picture. You're not supposed to strain your eyes, you're just supposed to look at it so that your eyes can naturally, on their own, try and focus the picture again. This machine then measures your eye's ability to focus on something, and it gives a rough idea of your prescription. Right next to that machine was the one that does a retina scan. Now again, I had to put my chin on a little thing and lean my forehead against a little thing, which gave me like a mark on my forehead. Which I wasn't wearing any makeup when I went to do this test, but imagine like leaving makeup on that little band. I would feel so bad. I'd be like, wait, let me wipe this off. But luckily, I didn't have that issue. Now, for those of you that don't know, the back of your eyeballs called your retina, and that's where all the structures are that you require to see. And there are 2 very important structures back there. Number 1 is the nerve of your eye. You're going to see it's like slightly off to the side. Depending on like what eye you're looking at, it will be at the opposite side. It's pretty much just a circle, and that's where all your nerves from your eyeball come together and go back into your brain. And they actually like crisscross. So a picture of your right eye will have it on the right side, and a picture of your left eye will have it on the left side. And then there's a structure slightly to the side of that. It's like a circle where the texture looks a little different. You can see it. And that's called your fovea, and that's the area of your eye that is used for detailed viewing, like seeing things in detail. That's the part of your eye where you pick up the clearest vision. I thought it was very cool because I knew it existed. We learned about it in physiology, but I never knew you could see it so clearly. And you can see it because this machine takes a picture of your retina. You basically lean your head against the stuff again, you look in, you see like a green dot and then a bright flash, which makes everything like glow red for a second. And basically what that does is it takes a picture of your retina and then it shows up on the computer screen where the optometrist can look at it for any abnormalities. It takes a picture of one eye at a time, so like the machine moves a little bit, take a picture of the other side, and then you're good to go. It is a pretty bright flash, so prepare yourself for that, but it's not really frightening. And then afterwards, the optometrist did show me what my retina scans look like, and she said there was nothing out of the ordinary. It's pretty much a red circle with the 2 structures I mentioned, and you can kind of see the veins behind it. It's pretty cool. They then keep these pictures on file, take another one the next time you come in, and then they can compare them to see if there's been any deterioration over time. Now these first two machines were at the same table, just like around a corner, so I wasn't visible to the public, but we weren't closed off in a room yet. So after we were done with those two, we went into a little room. Now, of course, I'm doing this in the midst of a pandemic, so the lady did pick up this spray bottle of air and surface sanitizer, which is pretty cool. That thing had a nice spray to it. You didn't have to like everything else. You just held it in like an aerosol can and just sprayed the whole room, which I'm very thankful for because I ended up having to take my mask off in the room, which I'll get to in a minute. Now, the optometrist had me sit down on a chair that kind of resembles a dentist chair, and I just had to wait a minute or two while she was typing things into a computer and getting everything set up for us to start. Now, it was a rectangular room with a door on the one side and the chair on the other side, so that I was facing the wall furthest away from me that had nothing on it, except for like this little rectangular white plate that was attached to the wall right in front of me. The first thing she did is she measured my eyes with like a straight up ruler. It had one little up piece like this, and then it did another one that could move on the ruler. And what she'd used this for is to measure my pupillary distance, which is the distance between the middle of my one pupil to the middle of my other pupil if my eyes are relaxed and I'm just looking straight ahead of me. So don't try and focus on the ruler or anything like that. Just look straight ahead of you. She told me to just look over her shoulder so that she can properly measure that distance. The point of measuring that is so that they can determine what part of the lens of your glasses you will be looking through. Because when you look at your glasses, different parts of the lens have different magnification, and you need the right magnification at the spot where you're looking through your glasses. So that's why they need to know how far apart your pupils are so they could put those parts far enough apart in your glasses. You usually use that distance if you're ordering prescription glasses online. So basically that's just to make sure that if you were to get glasses, you will get the clearest vision out of them. Then we moved on to determining what my prescription is. And for this, she moved that massive gray thing in front of my face. It's attached to an arm, so she kind of just swung it in. And she told me to just sit comfortably, and then she put it right in front of my face. It gets pretty close. It's really up in your business, the way glasses would be if you were to wear them. So just be aware of that if you're a little wary of having things up close and personal. And then I just had a look through these two little holes at the wall opposite me. She turned on a projector, and then there were letters of different sizes projected opposite me. And then she had me read the different rows and tell her what the letters were. Then she flipped a switch on her side, which I couldn't really see what she was doing, but it changed what was in front of me. It made the magnification more or less and stuff like that. And then she asked me, can I see clearer with this or without this? And then could I see clearer with this one or with that one? So it was a lot of that cliche. Do you see better with one or two? One or two? Kind of went back and forth. Now definitely a few times I was like, there is like no difference here, what the hell? Which in itself is an okay answer. You can tell the person, well, they look really similar, but I guess this one more than that one. Just a note, she put black dots on the projector instead of letters at this point, and then she asked me, when do the dots look sharper? Now this is the part that took the longest because we went back and forth, and she first did the one eye and then the other eye. She did that by just closing the one thing I was looking through, so it was just black and I could only see through the other one. And then of course she switched it, and then she took it away so I could look at both. But this was also where I had to take my mask off, because when you're wearing a mask, when you breathe out, that hot and humid air is coming up here on the side of your noses where there's like a small gap usually, and that was fogging up with the lenses I was looking through. So I ended up having to take my mask off so it didn't do that. But I unhooked it from my ear and kind of just held it lower and pushed it down so that the air was blowing down instead of up, so it didn't fog everything up. But it felt illegal taking my mask off in a public place, even just that little bit. On the topic of everyone in the place was wearing the mask correctly. On the topic of everyone there was definitely wearing the mask correctly, and I feel like they were properly following safety protocols, so I felt pretty safe there. I really enjoyed that. If you're interested, that big gray thing that put in front of your face is called a phoropter. I hope. I googled this stuff. I do not know how you pronounce it. Now, while they're determining your prescription with a phoropter, they also do a duochrome test. Now, to do this, every now and then, the optometrist will just go turn the light off in the room so that the only source of light is the projection on the wall. And the projection is half red, half green with some black text on it. And the optometrist will ask you what text is clearer and brighter to you. Now, this test works on the principle that red light and green light are focused differently in your eyes. And it helps determine if you're nearsighted or farsighted. If you're short-sighted, the red will be a bit brighter, and if you're far-sighted, the green will be a bit brighter. Farsighted is when things that are close up are a little bit blurry, but it's easy for you to see things in the distance. That's why some old people will read with a newspaper like super far away from their face. And if you're nearsighted or short-sighted, you can see everything clear in front of you, but kind of at a distance it starts blurring. So apparently I am a little bit short-sighted, which means the red was brighter to me. Now, of course, the lights will be turned back on as soon as the Duochrome test is done. It'll go off about 3 times because Duochrome test was done with the one eye, then the other eye, and then both together. So no, they won't be leaving you in dark for a long time. And then the last test that was done is an intraocular pressure test. And basically that just tests the pressure of the fluid inside of your eye to see if there's a bit too much that's making it really turgid, or if there's a little bit too little and your eyeball's a little soft. An eye keratometer was used on me, which is lovely because it does not require any type of anesthetics on your eye. I did look up different methods of testing your eye pressure afterwards, and they put in a few drops that numb your eye, and then they have something against your eye for like 10 seconds, and I'm like, I'm glad we didn't do that one. What this thing is a little like F-shaped handheld device, and the optometrist took a sanitized little plastic probe and slipped it into the short handle of the F. Then she just held the thing up to my face, pressed the button, and I felt like the smallest little pressure on my eye was like fleeting as if it wasn't even there. And I was like, what just happened? And then the optometrist did my other eye as well. And I was like, hey, what was that? And I looked it up afterwards, and basically this little plastic probe is shot out so it bounces against your eyeball, and then the force with which it bounces back is used to determine the pressure of your eye. Now I want to clarify to you, it absolutely does not hurt. You barely feel it. But when I looked this up, it actually advised optometrists to not tell the patient that their eye will be touched with something because it might freak people out. And I was like, okay, I understand. I guess it's a little freaky to be told, I'm going to be poking your eye with something. You're going to be a little reluctant to do the test then. Which I found funny. We're just like all agreeing to not freak out the patient here. But it really was not a big deal. Really barely felt it, and then they have the readings they need. And then that was the end of my eye test. They just had me go out front to pay while they quickly just wrote down my results for me. Now, I don't want to go into how they interpret the results because people might give you different things and I might just confuse you. But basically, my left eye is perfectly fine. Everything's how it should be. My right eye is pretty good as well, but it's like 20% nearsighted. So like 80% of my vision, my right eye is still good to go. The left one's perfect. So I'm definitely not going blind. Thank goodness for that. But that freaked me out a little bit. Like, I could notice my vision was changing, and you're telling me that's only like a 20% decline in one small aspect. I was like, that is insane. But I was told it's because we're all spending so much time on our computers and it's really tiring the muscles in our eyes out. So while I have nothing to worry about, if I really wanted to, I could get a set of reading glasses to just wear if I'm going to be on my computer a lot, to just give my eyes a little bit of a break. That way they don't have to strain the whole time I'm working on my computer. And I think my prescription was something like plus 0.25. It was something really small. And I was like, sure, the pharmacy sells super cheap glasses. I can go pick up a pair there just to have handy in case I ever feel my eyes are tired while I'm on my computer. But nobody carries plus prescriptions because they're rare. They only carry minus prescriptions because those are the ones that people need to be able to read things. I suppose minus prescriptions are the ones that sell, and that's why they only carry them, and they don't carry plus prescriptions. But luckily, because I didn't need them, it wasn't a big deal. I was just like, it's fine, I'll just take a break from my laptop if need be. I did learn one thing though. She told me to not force myself to try and focus on something if it's looking blurry, because that will do more damage than good. It will overstrain my eyes. And I was like, oh, okay, noted, because I have been intentionally trying to focus on things more to kind of maintain the ability to focus on it. I think my logic was like, if you're training and you're finding it hard to lift a weight, you should be lifting that weight to be able to lift that weight instead of not doing it. But what do I know? I did not study this. But yeah, those are the basics of having an eye test done. I hope I answered all your questions and prepared you for your eye test. There is nothing to be worried about. And you only have to do it once every 1.5 to 2 years. So if you ever feel the need, I think it's worth spending on. Definitely gave me the peace of mind that nothing's wrong. And now I have everything on record for when I go again. We can compare things and see if I need to change what I'm doing. Also, I'm sure you will never look at those ASMR eye test videos the same again. Because I remember I've watched them in the past and I was like, why are they measuring my eyes? And why are they doing that? What is the point? And I've heard jokes about optometrists being like, do you prefer 1 or 2? And it being like a very stressful question. And I was like, Okay, and now I understand. Now I know what people are talking about, and now you do too. I hope I answered all your questions, and I hope I explained the process of everything really well to you. If not, feel free to drop a comment down below and I'll try my best to answer it for you. Please do note I am not an optometrist. I have mentioned this at the beginning. I'm just someone that decided to Google this in my free time. But I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye! If you're short-sighted, the red will be a bit brighter, and if you're long-sighted, far-sighted, oops. If you're short-sighted, the red will be a bit brighter, and if you're long-sighted, far-sighted.